You're probably sitting there worrying that you'll drop a couple $100 on a mower that just won't cut the grass the way you need, or worse, will leave you stuck in the middle of the yard with a dead battery. I get that there's nothing more frustrating than a bright and shiny piece of equipment that ends up gathering dust because it doesn't match your actual lawn size or your workflow. If you're trying to figure out whether the Greenworks 80V 60-inch riding mower is the right fit for your plot, stay tuned. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about why this mower even shows up on a lot of best electric mower lists. It's marketed as a 41 horsepower gas equivalent, 5.12 acre machine with a rear dump bed, something you usually only see on the big-ticket gas push mowers. For a homeowner with a medium to large yard, the promise is clear: you get the power and capacity of a traditional gas mower, but with the quiet, low-maintenance vibe of an electric system. That promise is tempting, especially if you've already felt the sting of a noisy gas engine, or the hassle of changing oil and fuel every few months. Who should actually consider this machine? If you own a property that's anywhere from 3 to 5 acres, have a fairly even terrain, and you're comfortable charging a fairly sizable battery set on a regular basis, the Greenworks rider lines up nicely. The included 2 16R and 4 8R lithium-ion packs add up to a maximum of 120 Wh, which, according to the manufacturer, translates into roughly a full acre run before you need to swap or charge. In practice, I've seen users report a typical run time of around 6,070 minutes on a 4 miles per hour setting before a battery swap becomes necessary. That's plenty of time to knock out a 3-acre backyard in one go, especially if you're mowing in a steady, moderate pace. On the other hand, if your yard is under an acre, you'll probably be better off with a smaller electric push mower or a battery-powered cordless mower. The sheer size of the deck, 60 inches, made from reinforced 10-gauge steel, means you'll be maneuvering a relatively wide cutting path. For tight spaces, garden beds, or lots of obstacles, that width can actually be a hindrance. You'll find yourself doing a lot of extra turning or even having to back up around trees to avoid scuffing the deck. Also, if you're not comfortable handling a 50-pound or heavier machine, the ride-on feel may feel a bit unwieldy at first. Now, what does the real-world performance look like? The Cyclone Cut technology is essentially a set of angled blades designed to lift the grass and cut it cleanly. In my own testing on a mixed lawn of fescue and a few tougher weeds, the mower held a steady 4 miles per hour and left a fairly uniform cut. The deck steel construction holds up well against the occasional stone or stick, so you won't hear the usual jarring clang you get with cheaper aluminum decks. One practical strength I noticed is the rear dump bed, a feature you rarely see on electric riders. It lets you empty the clippings directly into a garden compost pile or onto a pile of mulch without having to walk back and forth with a bag. For anyone who wants to keep the clippings where they are useful, that's a genuine time saver. Noise is another point that buyers often ask about. The Greenworks rider is advertised as 4x quieter than gas, and that claim holds up in my ears. At full throttle, the motor hums at a level comparable to a residential vacuum cleaner, not the roar of a gasoline engine. If you live in a neighborhood with close-by houses, or you simply hate the sound of a gas engine at dawn, the quiet operation is a real win. The high-intensity LED headlights also add a useful layer of practicality. Mowing in low light becomes safer, and the illumination is bright enough to see small obstacles without having to rely on a handheld flashlight. The flip side is the charging ecosystem. The turbo wall charger that comes with the set is a fairly standard 800-watt charger, which means each 16R pack takes about 3 to 4 hours to reach full capacity. If you're planning to mow 3 acres in a single session, you'll need to have at least 2 battery packs fully charged beforehand, or be prepared to swap them out midway. That swapping process can break your rhythm. You have to stop, disconnect the pack, lift the lid, install a fresh pack, and then continue. It's not a huge inconvenience, but it's worth noting if you value a seamless, single-run mowing experience. Battery life over the long term is another variable. Greenworks uses a lithium-ion chemistry that, under normal conditions, should retain about 80% of its original capacity after 300 cycles. For a homeowner mowing weekly during the growing season, that equates to roughly 5 years before you notice a meaningful drop in runtime. Still, you'll want to keep an eye on the pack's health, especially if you store the mower outdoors where temperature,